Welcome to the Sunmico AI podcast, where we explore strategic marketing topics that are relevant for scaling and growing your business. I'm Mimis Clearin, CEO of Sunmico. We are a B2B marketing consultancy firm specializing in helping tech companies with transformation and growth. We hope you enjoy today's topic. The discussion will be led by Mike and Marie. Marie is a version of me generated through an AI tool, and Mike is my AI colleague.
So we're diving into two really powerful concepts that lock together.
Okay.
The 3 stages of maturity: crawl, walk, run, and these 4 Ps for sustainable growth.
So the main goal today is understanding that effective sustainable growth really boils down to doing the right things at the right time.
Spot on. And we're going to map out what those right things actually look like at each step.
Okay, let's kick things off then. Segment 1. The 3 stages of maturity. Crawl, walk, run. It sounds like a simple way to think about growth.
It is. It's meant to be practical.
So let's start at the beginning, at the crawl stage.
Wow.
What really defines this, foundational phase?
Foundation is the word. It's all about creating the company's core DNA,
Okay.
The main focus isn't necessarily huge sales numbers yet. It's more about getting those fundamental pieces in place so you can generate awareness later.
So what kind of activities are we talking about?
Things like really nailing down your company values, the
Yeah.
behaviors you want to see, developing a razor-sharp value proposition,
Mm-hmm.
building out your visual identity, creating the initial marketing materials, and crucially, launching a new website that actually works properly and has the right content.
Okay, that sounds sensible. But here's the thing. If I'm in that crawl stage, how do I justify this to, say, my CEO? Measuring activity, like, hey, we finished the brand guidelines, instead of actual leads. That feels like a really tough sell, doesn't it?
It absolutely is. It's probably the single toughest conversation you'll have at that stage.
Right.
But you have to have it because the company's still immature. The actual effect of that shiny new value prop, almost impossible to quantify right away.
So the goal has to be different.
Exactly. A sensible goal has to be measuring the completion of the activity itself, putting the right things in place. If you try to jump ahead and run complex lead gen now, well, you're basically building on sand. It's a waste of money.
Okay, fair enough. So foundation first. Then once that identity is solid, we move into the walk stage. You call this the execute, listen, measure, and learn phase.
Yeah, now we start doing things and, importantly, listening. We shift focus from just internal setup to getting more external visibility.
Right, getting out there.
The activities become much more, external and targeted. We're talking campaigns, maybe some events, putting out content on social media, some basic PR perhaps.
Okay.
And critically, this is where you stop trying to manage leads on spreadsheets. It's time to build scalable infrastructure.
Like a CRM system.
Precisely. A proper CRM strategy, refining that whole marketing and sales funnel.
And the goals here are more tangible.
Definitely. They're measurable now. Things like building brand visibility, getting awareness up, and achieving some early adoption from customers.
Got it. And then finally, you hit the run stage. This is where things really take off. Scaling up, accelerating growth. What makes the marketing focus different here compared to the walk stage?
Run stage is all about acceleration and optimization. You're likely increasing the budget significantly.
Okay.
Tackling new channels, maybe expanding into new markets or going after different target audiences. You start deploying more advanced stuff like marketing automation to handle the sheer volume.
But there's a shift in strategy, too.
Yes, a key strategic shift. Fast growth is great, but it's useless if customers are leaving just as fast. High churn.
Right, the leaky bucket problem.
Exactly. So a major focus shifts towards customer retention, maximizing that customer lifetime value, or CLV.
So the goals move beyond just volume. It becomes about preference and loyalty.
Precisely. Now you're tracking things like conversion rates much more closely, repeat business is huge, customer satisfaction scores. It's all about how well you convert and nurture the customers you already have.
Okay, that maps out the stages clearly. Crawl, walk, run. But setting up those stages is one thing. What actually drives truly sustainable growth through all this? That brings us to the 4 Ps for sustainable growth.
Yeah. And this is a really critical distinction. This isn't Philip Kotler's traditional 4 Ps of marketing: product, price, promotion, place.
Right, I remember those from marketing class.
We're adapting that because, frankly, those focus heavily on the transaction. These new P's, people, performance, planet, and profit, they focus on the long-term internal and external factors, the things that build brand and business value holistically and sustainably.
Okay, let's break those down. P1, people and culture. This sounds like the internal bedrock.
It is, absolutely. It's the building blocks. Think about it. If your leadership style or how your employees actually behave contradicts those lovely brand values you defined back in the crawl stage.
The whole thing falls apart.
Exactly. The system fails. Authenticity, trust, these are foundational. Your corporate values and your brand values have to align with how you actually behave in the market.
And that shows up everywhere.
Everywhere, from HR policies to how your sales team talks to prospects, even down to the language used in your product documentation, it has to be consistent.
Okay, makes sense. Then P2 is performance. You mentioned customer focus and experience here, so this is about delivery.
Yes, what the company actually delivers and crucially how it interacts with customers all along their journey.
The whole customer journey.
The whole thing. It's about making sure the entire company is genuinely customer focused. That has to be baked into the culture, the insights you gather, the goals you set, how you follow up.
And this drives long-term value.
It's the key mechanism for it. You could have great people, P1 sorted, but if your delivery, your performance P2 is poor, you've essentially broken the brand promise.
Got it. Okay, P3, planet sustainability. Why is this suddenly, or maybe not so suddenly, a mandatory pillar, even for smaller scale-ups? Is it just about being green?
Well, it's much broader than just the environmental aspect, though that's part of it. Sustainability in this context is really about systemic resilience. It's about future-proofing your business.
How so?
It covers responsible business practices, ethical operations, supply chain considerations, a whole range of things. Ignoring this today basically means accepting huge future risks.
Like regulatory changes or damage to your reputation?
Exactly. And that can cripple your long-term viability no matter how good your profits look today. It's becoming table stakes for investors, for customers, and for attracting talent too.
Right. It's not just a nice to have anymore.
Definitely not.
And that brings us to the final, P4, profit.
Yes, profit. Which is, of course, the eventual desirable result of getting the other P's right.
So it's an outcome, not the starting point.
Precisely. Our sources are pretty clear on this. Sustainable profit tends to follow naturally when you have strong people and culture, P1, excellent performance and customer focus, P2, and you operate with a strategic eye on the planet, on resilience, P3.
So chasing short-term profit above all else can actually undermine long-term stability.
It often does, because you end up neglecting the necessary investments in those softer values, the foundational things that actually create real, lasting financial health.
Okay, this is where it all comes together then, the synthesis. Let's talk about why it's so vital that the marketing plan lines up perfectly with a company's maturity stage. You said earlier, trying to run before you crawl is, well, bad. Why can't I just throw budget at massive lead gen campaigns in the crawl stage if I have it?
Because it's the fastest way to just burn through cash. It's not sustainable. Your marketing plan has to reflect your internal reality, where you are on that crawl, walk, run journey.
So for the crawl stage, what's the priority alignment with the 4 Ps?
In crawl, your focus must be heavily weighted towards P1, people and culture, getting that internal house in order. And related to P2, performance, it's about securing the right initial customers.
Not just any customers.
No, not just volume. You need those early adopters who believe in what you're doing. They become your first ambassadors out there in the market. They're worth far more than just a line item on a sales spreadsheet at this point.
Okay. Then when we get to the walk stage, the emphasis shifts.
It shifts hard towards P2, performance. Now you're executing, right?
Right.
So this is where you actually need to start taking the time to reflect, to learn, to evaluate how those campaigns are really doing.
Listening comes in here.
Exactly. You launch proper customer listening mechanisms, surveys, feedback loops. You start focusing on upselling and cross-selling to that customer base you've started building. You're actively refining the brand promise based on real-world performance and feedback.
And by the time we reach the run stage, the priority is
maximizing customer lifetime value, CLV. This is where P2, performance, really scales up, often using technology.
Technology for efficiency.
Yes. Run stage is all about using things like advanced nurturing sequences, marketing automation, using tech efficiently to build preference and loyalty at scale. You're locking in those long-term customers, which, as we know, is way more cost-effective than constantly chasing new ones.
So, following this path, aligning the stages and the Ps helps avoid the big strategic traps. You mentioned silos earlier. Rule number 1 for integration seems to be, don't accept silos. Marketing can't be an island.
Absolutely not. It's probably the most common failure mode we see. The marketing strategy has to tie back directly to the overall company strategy and business objectives.
It's not just the marketing department's job.
No. Successful brand building needs everyone. Leadership has to champion it. Employees need to live the values. Sales needs to communicate it correctly. Even product development needs to reflect the brand promise.
So the head of marketing needs a broad view.
They really do. They have to be comfortable tackling issues from internal company culture right through to external comms, ensuring that brand experience is totally consistent.
Okay, rule 2. As the company grows, the definition of the right things changes. So you have to question the status quo.
Yeah, constantly. Marketing and communications must evolve along the growth journey. What worked brilliantly in the crawl stage might be completely irrelevant or even counterproductive in the run stage.
So how do you manage that?
You need some kind of mechanism to regularly reassess your activities. A simple stop, continue, start assessment is great for this.
Stop, continue, start.
Yeah. What should we stop doing? Because it no longer contributes to our goals or desired perception. What should we continue doing because it's still effective? And what new things should we start doing that are right for the next stage we're heading towards? It frees up time, money, resources.
That makes sense. Don't just keep doing things out of habit.
Exactly.
And rule 3, this one feels particularly relevant right now. Don't stop marketing in tough times.
Oh, this is crucial. When the economy gets shaky, what's the first budget often slashed?
Marketing, seen as a cost.
Exactly. It's viewed as a cost to be saved rather than what it actually is, an investment in future growth.
So cutting it is short-sighted.
Terribly short-sighted. Tough times don't mean stop marketing. They mean you need to be smarter about it. Revisit your messaging. Is it right for the current climate? Revisit your channels. Where are your customers actually paying attention right now?
The goal being?
The goal is ensuring that when the market inevitably recovers, your brand isn't forgotten. You want to be positioned to accelerate out of the downturn, not trying to rebuild awareness from scratch. Keep the engine warm, so to speak.
Right. So this whole framework, the stages, the Ps, it really gives you a map, doesn't it?
It does. True long-term value creation, it really hinges on integrating those 4 sustainable Ps: culture, customer focus, resilience, and ultimately profit with the right maturity stage you're currently in. Crawl, walk, or run.
But it requires real strategic thinking.
Absolutely. It demands a serious strategic commitment. You need to properly analyze your audience. You need to be brutally honest in assessing your current situation. And you need a crystal clear vision for the market position, the image, the perception you actually want to own.
Okay, so let's bring it back to that really tough point we discussed earlier. We started by highlighting just how crucial that crawl stage is, investing in foundational things like culture, values, P1 basically. Things that, let's be honest, don't produce instant, easily measurable leads.
Right. The difficult stuff to quantify immediately.
So, if this entire framework shows that P1 investment is essentially mandatory for achieving sustainable P4 profit down the line, here's the challenge, the provocative thought we want to leave you, the listener, with. How do you successfully communicate, maybe even quantify, the critical risk of skipping or underinvesting in P1 to your leadership team? So especially when they might be laser-focused, maybe even obsessively focused, only on those short-term quarterly results.
Now that is the ultimate strategic test, isn't it? Balancing that long-term foundation building with the short-term pressures.
It really is. Something to mull over.
Definitely. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thank you.
That concludes today's deep dive into B2B marketing strategy. Visit sunmico.com for more resources. This episode was AI generated using Notebook LM from materials created by Sunmico. There may be some strange pronunciations of certain names and concepts by the AI generated voices. Thank you for listening.